What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of news to go over here this week, and the first story is more news about the next gen BRZ. So Subaru has started officially teasing it already, which is kind of a surprise since we just saw spy shots and hadn't heard anything, up until just recently. And so this is the 2022 BRZ's front fender and wheel, and so that's what they've shown us so far. They tried to darken the writing on the tires, but if you look closely, you can see it is actually a Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, which suggests that the new BRZ is going to be focused on grip more so than sliding around, being tail happy like the previous generation, unless this one has a lot more power to regain that tail happiness. We'll have to wait and see, but that's kind of an interesting little development. Also, there was this camoed car, the same car that was shown behind a veil to attendees of the 2020 Subi Fest event in California recently. And thanks to Subaru Dwayne on Instagram and many others that posted on social media pictures of this car behind the veil. And so we get a whole, look at the whole car. And it looks basically the same as all the other spy pictures that we've already seen. And so there's not really any surprises there, but it is kind of cool to see Subaru officially teasing it. And, we have a very clear look at it now. And I think it's going to be a good looking car. Have to wait till the camo comes off, but I'm, pretty optimistic. Nobody at the event, unfortunately, was able to, see under the hood or see anything up close. So it's still a mystery as far as, what kind of engine it's running. It's either going to be turbo or non-turbo version of the 2.4 most likely, but we'll have to wait and see, how that develops. But Subaru officially says it'll be revealed this fall. So, sometime here, in the next couple of months, that's, again, much sooner than I was expecting, considering the production of these isn't scheduled to start at least until spring. At least the last leak that we saw, that's, it's looking like, I think they said March or April they would start building them. So, most likely an actual rollout to dealers and stuff won't be happening until probably May or June, because they will most likely be built in Japan again, like the current BRZ and 86R. So anyway, interesting to hear that. We haven't heard anything from Toyota about their version, but I'm assuming maybe we'll see something relatively soon on that as well, since they're already officially starting to get ready to reveal these. For something that Honda revealed this past week, they revealed the refreshed Ridgeline for 2021, and it's a pretty large change for a refresh. The fenders, hood, bumpers, lights, all that is completely restyled, and it's really changed the character of the Ridgeline, especially in the front there, with a more truck-like look with the flatter and blockier nose. The hood comes up higher and is more squared off than before, and you got those more off-road ready bumpers and stuff. These optional fender flares also do give it a little bit more of a more aggressive look. In the back, it gets a new bumper with cutouts for a new dual exhaust. There's other changes like a 20mm wider track and an updated infotainment system that they say has new graphics and a volume knob. So those are all nice improvements. There's also some HPD upgrades from Honda's performance division, and so that gives you those bronze wheels and stuff. That's not factory stuff, neither are the stickers. That's stuff that you can have added on, and so that's cool. And so otherwise it's going to be the same mechanically, no changes there. But I really like the Ridgeline. I thought it was a really impressive vehicle, and I think it's enough truck for most people, if they're being realistic. And anyway, these new Ridgelines are going to be in dealers early next year, so cool to see that. Acura is continuing to tease out the next-gen MDX. Last week we saw a silhouette of the exterior. This week we get an interior look, and it looks much more high-tech. You can see it's got these nice digital gauges, which is a totally new thing for Acura. It has a next-level 25-speaker Signature Edition ELS Studio 3D stereo, and then all the newest Acura components with the infotainment and stuff. Much nicer materials, it seems, as well. And so I'm looking forward to the full reveal. That's going to be happening next week on October 14th. So I'll have all the details on the new MDX next week to cover for you guys. For some interesting changes here. So Jaguar made some pretty big changes this week for the 2021 model year. The biggest is that the XE has been removed completely from the US lineup. That was kind of a shock. But apparently the XE just isn't selling well enough to even justify its existence here in the States anymore, which is kind of a bummer. And so Jaguar had this to say about its demise. The 2021 model year lineup with 3 SUVs, a sports car, and a competitively priced luxury sedan continues the evolution of Jaguar to specifically meet the U.S. market requirements, which today is made up of 66% SUV buyers in the luxury segment. So, this is sad since, the XE was really a promising little car that, unfortunately had a couple little things like the infotainment wasn't great for a while there. But otherwise it ran the supercharged V6 from the F-Type in its earlier years. And, I actually did a quick drive video on one and was pretty impressed with it. I just unfortunately was never able to get my hands on one to do a full review on it. But I always thought the XE was really cool. I thought it looked good. It just continues on with Jaguar's struggles. It's just kind of tough. I guess, all the other competitors out there were more appealing to people. And so that's just the way it goes with that. So with the XE gone, and the XJ has already been gone while that waits for its new electric version, the XF is going to be the only sedan in the lineup until the new electric XJ arrives. And so speaking of the XF, it did get some big changes for 2021 as well. So the biggest change is that it's now $7,100 less than the 2020 version, with it now having a starting price of just $45,145. So that certainly makes up for the loss of the XE. You kind of get a bigger car for not much more than the XE started at. There are a couple of sad changes for the XF lineup, though. The first is that they ditched the supercharged V6 in the higher trims. You can't even get a 6-cylinder at all in the XF anymore. They do have that new 6-cylinder they use in other products, but you're not getting that here. Instead, all XFs run the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo with the typical 2 different tunes. The base one does 246 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque, and the top one does 296 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. That top engine also requires you to get all-wheel drive, so you can't get rear-wheel drive and relatively high horsepower anymore. So they really watered down the XF as far as the performance goes, but that helps it sell, I suppose. And the base model still can be had with rear-wheel drive, but then you're getting this large car with 250 horsepower. It's just The other sad news is that the XF Sport Brake is now being removed from the U.S. market because, once again, if people don't buy it, they won't keep making it. I honestly really respect them for even trying here in the States and for investing the money to legalize it and bring it over here. Unfortunately, it never took off. I wasn't too optimistic, but I just respect them for offering it here, at least for a little bit of time. And so that has now gone away. And the better changes for the XF here, though, are that it gets an extensive interior refresh along with a freshened exterior that gives you a new grille, lights, fender vent, similar to the one on the F-Type, that kind of basic stuff. The interior changes, though, are a lot more impressive, with an 11.4-inch infotainment screen that has almost no bezel. I think this is the most bezel-less infotainment system in a car yet that I've ever seen, at least. The whole dashboard is new too. It includes a new digital gauge setup from the F-Type and others. The climate controls, shifters, steering wheel are all new as well. Same updates that the F-Pace just got about a week or two ago. And so anyway, those new XFs are going to be on sale in January. So interesting to see that, and I just hope that Jaguar has some better times ahead. McLaren this week has unveiled a couple of pictures here of their new hybrid 570S replacement in camouflage, of course, and it looks fairly similar to the 570S here with the camo, but McLaren has already revealed that it's going to be using a new carbon fiber passenger cell, and so, there should be some significant changes, as far as the exterior and stuff as well. So we'll have to wait till the camo comes off to see, how much different it actually looks. The back end looks pretty similar to the GT, but that also kind of has some more significant tweaks than what it appears like it has in the front. The past reports included a quote from McLaren CEO saying that it'll have an all-electric range capable of covering most urban journeys, meaning it'll be a plug-in hybrid, and we also have already found out that it's going to be using a twin-turbo V6. So I think it's just a smaller, they just lop 2 cylinders off the V8, and it's kind of something similar to that. But so that's going to be debuting in the first half of next year, and I'm sure we'll continue to get more teasers and stuff here over the next several months as well. But interesting to see that. Audi has also added yet another version of the R8 for 2021. I already covered the Green Hell edition that they are coming out with. It's very limited. Thankfully, this other one isn't limited. This is simply called the R8 rear-wheel drive. So there was a previous RWS model, which was the rear-wheel version that they made. That was they only made 320 of those. It was kind of rare and limited. But now the R8 rear-wheel drive is a regular model you can order, and it's available as a convertible now as well. So it's basically, they just did the same thing with the Huracan rear-wheel drive. So I think Audi's just like, well, we'll just do the same thing. Why not? And so it kind of brings down the pricing and also just makes it a little bit more accessible, and also gives people another option for those who haven't yet bought an R8 in the past several years. And so same basic setup as the Huracan, but these R8s get the less powerful V10 that does 532 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. But it still does a 3.6 second 0 to 60 time. So, I mean, still plenty fast and still is going to sound fantastic with that V10. Audi didn't say precisely how much lighter these rear-wheel drive versions are, but based on the RWS version, it should be around 3,700 pounds. It's going to be on sale this winter, starting at $144,195 for the coupe and $156,395 for the Spider, which is a really good discount when you consider that a regular R8 coupe previously cost about $170,000 for the all-wheel drive version. So going to rear-wheel drive, I mean, you're saving yourself, almost $30,000, $25,000, which is really nice. I mean, obviously, yes, you have a less powerful V10 as well, but still, you still get the sound and you have the rear-wheel drive fun. To me, that's the obvious choice for R8s, in my opinion. That's just fantastic. And great, you can get it with a convertible as well. So cool to see that. And speaking of convertibles, it looks like Lamborghini is getting in on the no-windshield, ultra-limited track car phase. They revealed this picture of what appears to be an SC V12 without a windshield. So that was the new race car type thing they revealed that's, not street legal and stuff. And so this version likely just hacks off the windshield, and that's fine. Lamborghini actually, arguably, you could say, kind of started this, or was one of the first to do this with the Aventador J back in 2012. I know that, I think Mercedes also did the SLR Sterling Moss, which is very similar to that as well. But anyway, so Lamborghini has a right to do this, just like all these other supercar companies. And so, interesting that they're probably working on that. Of course, it's going to be insanely expensive. It's only going to be for the elect few within Lamborghini and stuff as well. So, But anyway, I think we're going to have a little more info on this in the next week or two. So we won't have too much longer to wait for that. Lexus this week has been granted a trademark for the RX 450h Plus name from the European Trademark Office, and so the rumors are suggesting the fairly obvious that the Plus stands for a plug-in hybrid version of the regular RX 450h, which is a regular hybrid, of course. And so they're saying, the rumors go on to say that this will be a more advanced version of the powertrain in the RAV4 Prime. So they're claiming that it'll do the same 300 horsepower or so, but will be retaining 40 miles of electric range, according to Autoblog. And so if they actually can keep that range, the same range as the RAV4 Prime, basically, they're going to have a bigger battery, since the Lexus is going to be bigger, heavier. There's no way they're getting 40 miles of range out of the same exact battery the RAV4 Prime does. So, I'm guessing that'll be the only other change. We'll have to see if there's any extra power. There's also been rumors in the past that the NX is going to be getting this as well, which certainly makes sense, since the NX is often, based on the RAV4. So for this next-gen NX that's coming, to get the RAV4 Prime's powertrain makes a lot of sense as well. So, but it makes sense for Lexus to put it into the RX first, since that's their best seller, I think. And so interesting to hear that. Mercedes this week has also revealed a few pictures of 3 of their upcoming electric vehicles in camouflage here. So the vehicles are the EQS, the EQE, and an EQS-based crossover that they haven't named yet, but that seems low enough to be a wagon, especially from that one picture. It really looks small. It's almost like a Jaguar I-Pace competitor or something. But anyway, we know the EQS is coming next year, and Mercedes reminded everyone that they're working on an electric version of the G-Wagon as well. But this was all part of like a conference that Mercedes had, talking about their future and the electric and all that kind of stuff, that whole sustainable future, I suppose. And so they did add, along with those electric teasers, that in order to save money to make all these electric vehicles, Autocar, that was, I guess, attending this, reports that Mercedes research and development chief said, "We need to reduce complexity. Complexity adds costs. we're going to reduce future products, reduce platforms substantially. Combustion engines will be very dramatically reduced, and we will eliminate the manual transmission. And that last part's only for Europe because we haven't had a manual Mercedes, I think, in at least 10 years, maybe longer. Maybe, what was it? The last little, coupe and convertible, I think, had it. Maybe that was it. It's been a long time. But anyway, so yeah, no manual Mercedes anymore. And that was basically just in base models in Europe and stuff anyway. So it's not a big loss there since we were already just used to Mercedes not offering them. As far as, what models are getting cut, there's been various rumors I've reported on in the past about that. The predominant rumors are that, at least here in the States, the ones that will be cut will be the CLS and the AMG GT 4-door, once they've lived out their generation. So we'll have to see about those. And we know that there'll probably be some other stuff that'll end up getting cut as well. But then also, going along with that kind of stuff, Mercedes also teased a new concept called the Vision EQXX, which they claim can drive from Beijing to Shanghai without stopping to charge, which is 753 miles, which, would blow Tesla and everyone else out of the water as far as electric range goes, if that turns out to actually be something they can obtain. And so it sounds like this is just going to be a concept car. It's a very streamlined thing. That's part of how they're getting that range, is it's going to be very, smoothed out and stuff, and probably look a lot like their, like race cars from the 30s and stuff. Very, very streamlined and everything. And so they officially said that while Vision EQX is a technology program, it is expected to result in innovations that will quickly make their way into series production cars. So this seems like they're really serious about trying to just really beat everyone with electric range. That is a lot of range. That is well beyond what anyone else seems to be able to do. So unless Mercedes has some secret battery advancement under their covers that they are not showing anyone else, I feel like there's no way they can hit even close to that range in a production car anytime soon. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm guessing maybe they can just pack it with a ton of batteries and make it weigh as much as a semi truck or something. I don't know. We'll have to see how they end up managing that. But anyway, that's will be interesting to see how that develops. For some other interesting ideas here, Volvo recently patented a design for a sliding steering wheel. So this is a new thing. So in addition to simplifying production so that you can have right-hand drive and left-hand drive all be produced, with just one car, it's also seems like something that's going to be part of the semi-autonomous transition that Volvo's planning to, instead of, all these fancy concept cars have these disappearing steering wheels that, dive into the dashboard. That kind of stuff is way too expensive to actually do in a production vehicle. And so I think this is the more practical approach, where Volvo is being like, well, we'll just slide the steering wheel out of the way so that whenever you're in stop and go traffic and the car is doing its own thing, in the future when that's actually safe to be having the car do everything completely on its own, you can sit back, move the steering wheel out of the way, and have more space for stretching out, reading, whatever it is you want to do. And so that's kind of an interesting little idea that they have there. And so, yeah, we'll have to see, when they plan to do this. A lot of patents and stuff never even see the light of day. But at least, they're working on trying to come up with solutions, to give people that concept car feel in the future whenever cars can drive themselves a little bit more. So we'll have to wait and see how that develops. There's also a new Ford patent that the Drive uncovered that looks like Ford is considering having a removable range extender that runs on gas and sits in the truck bed for the new electric F-150 that's coming in a couple of years. And so this would be to allow you to continue producing electricity when you're too far from a charger, when you're draining the battery faster with towing and things like that, which is kind of funny that Ford is working on a gas engine to keep the electric stuff going in their electric F-150. But I understand the need, that some people are going to probably have situations where they're going to need more range than what the F-150 will be able to provide if you're off the beaten path and stuff like that. So this could make sense, I suppose. And so it'll just be interesting to see how this plays out, because the problem is that even if it's, a small gas engine, like a little, generator type thing, you have that in the back of the truck bed, but, they're saying it's going to have an exhaust system and have electronics and all that kind of stuff and kind of mount into the bed. It's going to be a big, heavy thing still. So it's not going to be very practical to just toss in your truck bed. It's probably going to be, a two-person job to even haul it in there. And Even Autoblog suggesting it could be something that maybe even the dealership has to put in or something. So I'm not sure how practical this will be. Again, even the electric F-150 is several years away, and this patent could just be something fun that the engineers are kind of playing around with the idea. I don't know if that would actually make sense. I'll be curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below about if having a gas generator in the back of your electric truck would be something that you would be interested in. And another thing that we've only seen patent images of so far, the Lotus SUV that's been often rumored and talked about for several years now. So that supposedly is going to be starting production soon. So there's a report done by Auto Week in Holland, and so they're claiming that the SUV is going to be called Lambda, that will be targeting the BMW X6, the Audi Q8, and the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, and will be starting production in China before the end of this year, which is really soon for a vehicle we've seen no spy pictures of, no leaks, no anything. So they're either really good at keeping secrets, or this report just isn't accurate with the timing. They also claim it's going to be on the same platform as many Volvos, and they could even share their engines, just with more Lotus-like handling. But their former CEO did say he wanted it to be the fastest and best handling SUV in its segment, which would mean a lot more power than what those Volvos do. I'm guessing maybe it'd be something like the Polestar 1 and its powertrain. But even that, I mean, you're talking, when you're going up against the Cayenne Coupes, the X6Ms, the Audi Q8s, all that kind of stuff, I mean, you're talking, over 600 horsepower in all of those. Doing that out of a Volvo-based thing, even if it's highly electrified, it's going to be a lot to try and get that up to the same performance standards as those. I hope they achieve it. I think they can certainly do the best handling one, but to outmuscle them is going to be tough. So we'll have to see how that ends up developing, and if we do actually see something by the end of this year. I hope we do. I'm always rooting for Lotus. They're a really cool company, and I wish them the best. But we'll have to see if that actually comes out that soon. That'd be nice if it did. And the last news story this week is that Amazon and Rivian revealed their electric delivery van that Rivian will be producing 100,000 of for Amazon. And so aside from these few pictures here, the only detail we know is that it'll have 150 miles of range, which I guess is enough for a daily amount of deliveries, the average day driving around delivering packages. And so Rivian CEO said, "The vehicle we've developed with Amazon is not just electric. We prioritize safety and functionality to create a vehicle that's optimized for package delivery. We thought through how drivers get in and out of the van, what the workspace feels like, and what the workflow is for delivering packages." And then Amazon's director of global fleet and products said they designed it to far surpass other delivery vehicles, and that they wanted drivers to love using it and customers to feel excited when they saw it driving through their neighborhood and pulling up to their home. So I think it does look like a very friendly thing with the front end there. It actually looks a lot like the Honda E that we don't get here in the States, the cool little retro hatchback. This is like that front end, except in a giant delivery van body shape. And so Amazon's saying they're going to start delivering packages with these sometime next year. So sometime in 2021, you can have an electric, very futuristic Rivian delivering your packages, which is very cool. So interesting to see that. But that's it for all the news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you continue to stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.